Reality. Religious Newspaper 70, March 1909. We have been members of the Muhammadan Union since Qalu Bala, the realm in which human spirits are first created. What unites us is Tawheed. Our oath and pledge is Iman. Since we declare Tawheed, we are united. All believers are charged with upholding the word of Allah, for which, in this age, its most important means is dependent upon material progress. For the Europeans are crushing us with their moral tyranny through the weapons of science and industry. So, with the weapons of science and industry, we will wage jihad against ignorance, poverty, and conflict, which are the most fearsome enemies of upholding the word of Allah. As for external jihad, we will leave that to the diamond swords of the decisive proofs of the illustrious Sharia. Victory over the civilized is achieved through persuasion. It is not by force, like savages who do not use their reason. We are defenders of love. We do not have time for animosity. As for constitutionalism, it consists of justice, mutual consultation, and restricting power to rest with the law. Since the illustrious Sharia was founded 13 centuries ago, to beg before Europe in regard to legal judgments is but a great crime against the religion of Islam, and it is like directing yourself wrongfully towards the north when performing the Salat. Power should reside in the law, otherwise despotism will spread. It is Inna Allaha huwal qawiyyul mateen that should govern and direct the conscience, and that should occur through education and civilizational progress, or in the name of the religion of Islam. Otherwise, despotism will always prevail. To achieve unity is through guidance, not through fancy and desire. People have become free, yet they are still the servants of Allah. Everything has become unrestricted. The mistakes of others cannot justify a person's own mistakes. Despair is the obstacle of all perfection. It is the souvenir of despotism to say, "What is it to me? Let someone else think about it." Bediüzzaman. During a conversation that took place between Bediüzzaman and the chief rabbi of Istanbul, Emanuel Carasso, in Salonika, Carasso abruptly left the conversation with a commotion and in surprise expressed his defeat by saying, "If I stayed there any longer, he would have made me accept Islam as well." Carasso played an important role as member of a covert organization that worked insidiously to divide the Ottoman Empire. What Carasso hoped to achieve with his visit was to convert Bediüzzaman and use him to serve his ideas and inauspicious goals. But little did he know. Ultimately, the unfortunate events of the 31st March incident took place. About 15 Hojas, whose names got mixed up in the incident and who wanted the Sharia, were sentenced to death and hanged. Bediüzzaman was tried as they were left hanging on the gallows in the yard of the court building. He was placed to stand by the window where he could clearly see them. The court judge, Hurşit Pasha, led the interrogations. "So, you too want the Sharia?" Bediüzzaman replied, "If I had 1,000 lives, I am ready to sacrifice all of them for a single truth of the Sharia. Because the Sharia is the means of happiness and is absolute justice and virtue, but not the way the revolutionaries want it." This heroic defense by Bediüzzaman in the military court was printed and published twice during that time. While waiting to be sentenced to death, He was acquitted, and without thanking the court, he rallied out with a strong crowd behind him and made his way from Bayezid to Sultan Ahmed by shouting, "Long live hell for tyrants! Long live hell for tyrants!" We have included parts of his defense in the military court in this biography, so it can somewhat reveal the truth behind the 31st March incident and Bediüzzaman's heroic defense. Some parts of the work titled "The Testimonial of Two Schools of Misfortune" or "The Military Court and Said Nursi." Bismihi subhanahu ve in min şeyin illa yusabbihu bihamdi. Introduction. At a time when freedom was recalled with madness, the spineless tyranny turned mental institutions into a place of learning for me. At a time when moderation and integrity was modeled as reactionism, the extreme tyranny of the current constitution turned the prisons into a place of learning for me. O you, surveying my testimony, please send your spirit and imagination as a guest to the state of mind of a hot-tempered nomadic student whose intellect and body are in turmoil due to his recent involvement with this new civilization, so that you do not fall into the mistake by accusing me. During the 31st of March incident, I said the following to the military court. As a student, when I come across a matter, I apply the criteria of the Sharia. I know our nationality to consist only of Islam. That is why my judgments are always from the perspective of Islam. Herein is my speech as I stand at the door of the intermediate realm called prison, and as I wait for the train going to the hereafter at the station, which is called the gallows. I present my criticism of the ruthless conditions of human social life, directed not only to you, but also rather to the whole of humankind. That is why, in accordance with the mystery of يَوْمَ تُبْلَى السَّرَائِرِ, the naked truth has come out from the enclosure of the heart in complete starkness. Those who are strangers should not look at it. With complete yearning, I am prepared for the hereafter and am willing to go together with these people who have already been hanged. Just as a Bedouin who is a lover of antiquities hears of the astonishing beauty of Istanbul, but has never before seen it, how desirous he would be to see and visit it. I too am desirous to visit and see the world of the hereafter, the abode of wonder and amazement. I still have that enthusiasm. To exile me there is not punishment for me. Instead, if you have the power, you should try torture my conscience. Any other form of torture you will put me through will be an honor for me, not a punishment. During the time of despotism, this government had enmity towards the intellect. Now it has animosity towards life. If this is what governing is about, long live madness, long live death, and long live hell for tyrants. I have been anticipating a platform on which I could express my thoughts. This military court has become ideal for this. At first, I too faced the same line of questioning as everyone else. I was asked by the military court, "So you too want the Sharia?" To which I replied, "If had 1,000 lives, I am ready to sacrifice all of them for a single truth of the Sharia, because the Sharia is the means of happiness, absolute justice and virtue, but not the way the revolutionaries want it." Moreover, they asked, "Are you a member of the Mohammedan Union, upon whom be blessings and peace?" I replied, proudly, "I am of their smallest member, but in accordance with my description. Who is not part of that union other than atheists? Show me. Here I present you that speech so that I may save the constitution from any blemish, the people of Sharia from despair, the people of this century from labels of ignorance and of madness before history, and the truth from any fear and doubt. Here I began. I told them, O Pashas and officers, the summary of the reasons for our imprisonment is this: that is, the virtues which are the cause of my honor are now considered as a criminal offense. How am I to express regret? I am left baffled. I say by way of introduction, one who is brave does not stoop to crime, and if he is accused, he will not fear its punishment. Moreover, if I was to be hanged unfairly, I will receive double the reward of a martyr. If I was to remain in prison, under a government in which freedom is only given lip service to, the most desirable place must surely be prison. It is far superior to die as someone oppressed than to live as the oppressor. I will also say that some people who make politics the instrument of atheism accuse others as being revolutionaries and as making religion an instrument of politics. The spies of today are far worse than what they used to be. How can their loyalty be relied upon? How can justice be built on their findings? Moreover, if a man is contriving, he commits an injustice while trying to deal justice. For nobody is without fault. However, through the act of contriving, a man brings together the dispersed mistakes of another, who, over a long period of time, has already corrected himself by having good deeds amongst his wide range of other characteristics. He imagines the mistakes to be embodied in the person all at once and deems that person worthy of extreme punishment. Whereas this approach is an extreme form of injustice. Let us now come to enumerate my 11.5 criminal offenses. Note, included here are only the parts that relate to the method and temperament of the author. For the full work, please refer to the original title. First, crime. Last year, I had sent a telegraph through the office of the Grand Vizier to all the tribes in the East. The summary of it was this: the matter of constitutionalism and the body of law that you hear of consist of true justice and the consultation enjoined by the Sharia. Embrace it well. Work to preserve it. For our happiness in this world rests with constitutionalism, and with despotism, it is us who is suffering the greatest. The response to this telegraph from all corners of the country was positive and favorable. Thus, I took it up on myself to forewarn the provinces in the East and did not leave them aloof, just so that a new form of despotism does not exploit their carelessness. Having not said, what is it to me? I committed a crime that brought me to this court. Second crime. With the many public speeches I gave addressing scholars and students in Hagia Sophia, in Bayezid, in Fatih, and in Süleymaniye, I deconstructed and explained the true relationship between what is labeled as constitutionalism and the Sharia. I told them that an authoritarian despotism had no connection with the Sharia. It was as follows. According to the mystery of the Hadith, Sayyidul Qawm Khadimihum, the Sharia has come to this world in order to destroy cruel despotism and tyrannical oppression. If anybody objects to even a word of any of the speeches I have delivered, I am prepared to prove my claim with evidence. And I said that the true path of the Sharia, in fact, lies in the truth of legitimate constitutionalism. I thus accepted constitutionalism with evidences to it from the Sharia. Unlike those who chase this civilization, I did not embrace it with blind imitation, nor did I deem it contrary to the Sharia. I did not offer the Sharia as a bribe. Since I was trying with all my strength to protect the Sharia from the corrupt ideas of Europe, I thus committed a crime, which is why you are treating me this way.